These were the opening moves of Magnus Carlsen versus Fabiano Caruana. It's the final round of Norway Chess. Their classical game was a snooze fest as per, so we go to Armageddon. This is where we really blast off. Magnus in a must-win situation with white, and if he wins this, he's likely to win the tournament unless Hikaru does something special. More on that later. Magnus essays the English here against the American in Norway. Clock times on the left. This is blitz chess. Exciting. And Fabi now goes pawn b6, setting up the old banana hammock. Is he going to fianchetto the rook? Well, no. After knight c3, sanity prevails. He goes with the bishop, singing fluently in his Italian accent. d4 from Magnus. He takes the centre. So often he's on the black side of these systems, but not today. Fabi looking for bishop b4 here. Magnus shuts it down, and now look at the pony on f6. You're taught not to move the same piece twice in the opening. But these top guys, they break the rules when they want, and Fabi has got a thing for ponies. Rumour has it he analyses on the weekend dressed as a centaur. Magnus now takes. Bishop recaptures and e3 played. The bishop on c1 crying at this pawn structure. Definition of a bad bishop, but Magnus has a cunning plan. A la Blackadder, we get bishop e7 and bishop d3. The clergyman going into the blender. Castle's now played. Both players getting the king to safety. They do a king safety wink, as so many top players do, and pawn d6. You get such fluid pawn structures in these Nimzo Indian, Queen's Indian structures. Dark squared grip. Fabi looking for c5, but b4 he can do it. Magnus shuts it down with a dad joke, and that's why Fabi now plays to undermine that pawn. First he develops a piece. Always get your bits out. Rook d1 from Magnus, centralising the cannon, and a5 now played. Who would capture on a5? Strike thyself with a wooden stick if you do so. You mangle your pawn structure, leave yourself with a nasty pawn here, and help black activate. So instead, bishop b2, order of the day, connect those cannons. Now we see takes on b4, pawn recaptures, and how about this for a weird move? Queen to b8. That one on a kind of pogo stick, bungee jump thing, as we're gonna see, and Fabi's actually preparing to fianchetto it. So Magnus, preempting the plan, goes queen e4. What a centralising move. And not only does he stop queen b7, he looks at the delicate c-ship square. And how do you stop the queen from invading to there? Can't go queen b7, can't go pawn to c-ships. So what does Fabi do? Real star move. Love this one. He goes d5 for a high five. Magnus so impressed, he gives him one, wiggles it back out, because after takes, you can go queen b7 using the pin, unprotected queen, or knight f6. Lovely little Zwischenzug, an in-between move or intermezzo. Magnus moves his queen away and the pawn's going to drop. Now knight takes on d5, looking so natural to me. Then you look at b4 here. Yes, there's a pawn storm coming, but then you weaken this square and so on. But Fabi goes with the pawn, a little bit double-edged, and now the pawn on b4 attacked. Does Magnus meekly defend? No. Love this. It sets the top guys apart. Knight e5 played. They're always looking for these tempo moves. If bishop takes on b4, the knight hits c6, tender as a goat's behind, and then you're forking these two pieces. No good. So bishop d6 played. That one an egg, binding together the whole position. What does Magnus now do? Pawn to b5, and what to say, an iron curtain has descended on Fabiano's queenside from b6 to c7. But will Fabi go gentle into that good knight? No, he slides away with queen to e8, targeting the weakened pawn, and now Magnus takes on a8. The queen bounces back. It's on this insane bungee jump here, because after rook a1, it launches itself off the cliff once more, targeting b5 again, and so Magnus Does he go queen d3 to cover, or knight c6? No, he's kind of twitching at this point, desperate to play it, and he does it. He jumps in with queen c6, offers the queen trade. This is his jam, loves getting the ladies off the board, and Fabi's like, nah, I know what you do in an endgame with no queens, bro. I'm not even going there. Puts more pieces on dark squares, and Magnus gets the invasion. He's looking to do some kebab damage on the 7th rank, but the bishop on d6, a monster, binding everything together. So h5 from Fabi. Great move, gives the king some Lufthansa, and you prepare to undermine the white king position. So Magnus goes h3, also doing a nice bit of room, natural pawn structure. Rook d8, covers some important squares. Epic commentary as always on Epic Cheese. And after Magnus goes queen c1, you gotta now get out of dodge, because the knight's coming to Forktown. So Fabi goes queen e6, getting out of the forking way, and now we see knight c6 anyway. Rook attacked, defended by moving to the side. Magnus goes bishop a3. Excellent position idea. Get rid of the egg, then the whole recipe goes to pot. A nasty cake gonna be on the agenda. Queen takes, of course, to cover this pawn, and after knight e5, opening the queen, pawn about to drop, Fabi's just in time. The rook on c8 sobbing a little bit. It's not a nice square, and now Magnus could play patiently. Knight c6, rook dropping back, preparing to set up a kind of Alechine's gun here, but missing a rook. But instead, he plays a spicy move, pawn to f3. It's not quite a Vindaloo, but we're on our way. We're kind of Jalfrezi levels, moving into Madras, because after knight g3, the king position is damaged, and Magnus now spends 2 minutes on this next move. Not because he hasn't seen the fork, the absolute mammoth threat to go to e2, but how to continue, where to put the queen. He goes to a1, but his king position's weakened. Fabi goes pawn f6. Never play it, says Ben Feingold, but here it's making some sense. Now the Silicon Overlord wants knight c6, but Magnus drops back with the knight here, looking for the f4 square, and so h5 played. That knight won't be hitting the pawn with tempo, plus you secure this one. And now with these pieces kind of buzzing around the king like a fly around, won't finish that one, manure, Magnus decides it's time to go full bomb cloud. He also covers this pawn here. When in doubt, rush the field with the goalie, and now Fabi, seeing what the goat's just done, tries to copy king h7. Nothing wrong with that move in and of itself, but after queen b1, setting up the x-ray from the femme fatale, for some reason, Fabi doesn't go g6, or knight f5, or even king h8. He leaves his king on the firing line and goes rook e8. Now it's not a terrible move, but why play like this in blitz chess, minute on your clock? You know time control down is your Achilles heel. Magnus goes queen c2 to start with, doesn't yet use the discovered check. Precious c7, Fabi covers, and now it's time to uncork the cannon. Why would you let Magnus have these tricks? It's like going into a kickboxing match with Wesley So. You're always going to come out second. Magnus now goes knight e5, discovered check, and if you step to the back rank with the king, well, the rook joins the party from a8. So this one is forced. The knight blocking there. Otherwise, of course, like I said, there's massive problems coming in with the attack. Magnus now takes the knight. This one drops here. Magnus takes another discovered check. He doesn't actually declare check. He just uses his finger. Many of the top players do that, kind of shoot the check at the opponent. And now Fabi blocks it. d5 about to drop. Fair play to him. He's calculated well, but after a great move by Magnus, king to g1, get back in the net, goalie. Football's coming this summer, by the way, Euros, looking forward to that. We see queen takes on d5 here, allowing this pawn to finally drop. It's been moribund for ages. Now we see rook takes, queen recaptures here, and Fabi does take the b pawn. Looks like he's getting great counterplay, but after queen f4, hitting 2 points, here Fabiano goes wrong, doesn't find the right move. What does he play? He goes queen to b1 check. What to say about that move? His co-host on the C-Squared podcast says it best.
It's a game changer.
What should Fabi have played? Well, queen d3 immediately instead, because here it helps the king actually run to safety. We get b5 pushing for counterplay, but this is like Usain Bolt versus the backwards man. You're always going to lose to Usain. We get queen takes with check, king g6, Magnus pushes with d5, and this is why the queen belonged on d3. That move, not possible. Magnus had a lot more work to do. It was roughly level. But Fabi now plays it here, coming behind the pawn, but Magnus has got this series of checks. He starts throwing them in, check, 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 check out my melody. He's humming away and he gets the pawn rolling. Daenerys, mother of dragons, shepherding that d-pawn down the board, the ultimate dragon, about to clinch the game, red carpet rolled out. And here, Fabiano resigns the game, about to lose on time. Magnus about to make a second queen. Was it enough to clinch Norway Chess? The answer is yes, it was. Hikaru Nakamura could not beat Pragnananda in classical chess, so he comes up second best to Magnus Carlsen. Here's the final standings on screen. Poor Ding. Awful tournament for him. I hope he can just get some rest, find some form ahead of the rest of the year and the World Championship match to come. I hope you enjoyed. Do check out the video on screen if you did. Another incredible game, and smash subscribe if you want to become a Grandmaster. Thanks very much for watching and see you soon.